Today I have the honor of speaking with a leading figure in Mexican history and cultural preservation, Dr. Antonio Saborit. Dr. Saborit is a renowned historian, essayist, and translator. He specializes in cultural history, examining the intersection of literature, history, and modern Mexican society. Since 2013, he has served as the distinguished director of one of the world's most significant cultural institutions, the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City. Welcome to Art Bites, a podcast from the Nelson-Atkins Museum of Art, where we take you beyond the art on the walls and into the stories of the artists and the ideas behind them. I'm your host, Kathleen Layton. Thank you, Dr. Saborit, for taking a moment to speak with us today.
With pleasure.
As the director of the Museum of Anthropology, which is a world-class institution, what do you see as the museum's most crucial mission today, especially as we're watching a rapidly changing global landscape?
Oh, what a question. Our founding fathers, one of our founding fathers said, and I love this quote, that the museum is the most democratic cultural institution that we have been able to give us to ourselves. That it is more democratic than the classroom, because the museum doesn't ask you for a grade, and even more inclusive than the library, because the museum don't ask your identity to go in. Well, this is one of the most important issues in a museum nowadays. In the mission of a museum is to try to preserve this idea, the cultural institution most democratic that we have been able to give us as a society.
How many people come to your museum every year?
This year, at this moment, 4.4.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Last year we had 3.8. So, and the year before, 3.2.
And what is that due to? Why do you think there has been such a dramatic increase in attendance?
Sincerely, we do ignore it. We do not. Up to this moment, it all began in 2020.
With COVID?
Before
COVID, okay.
In January, February, the numbers were really high, and I had a meeting with the staff, and I said, I don't know what are we doing, but let's keep doing it.
Don't change a thing. Yes.
something is good. Then came the COVID and the rest. We have recovered that pace, that rhythm of interest in the things that we do in the museum, and what I think is well, it seems obvious for us that the museum, our museums in general, have changed a lot. Our museums are very important in daily life, in the daily life of people. Mind to tell you that I didn't say visitors, just people. And that they go to the museum to stay there, to know something new, to ask new questions to the collection, to hang around, to be together, many things, like a community center.
Right.
With some advantages over community centers, of course.
Do you think that is the reason that people are drawn to museums more now than they maybe used to be, because they have become a center of the community?
I think so. And besides, something I would say that is obvious, but I have to mention it, the presence of art. Art is important. Art matters. What these people are telling us is that, yes, art matters. That's very good. Arts in general are helping us to understand where we are, to make ourselves new questions about ourselves, about our time, our society, and museums are, in a way, providing several answers for them. That's why they go. They hang around in our places.
And do you think that museums provide some kind of comfort for people during stressful or anxious times? And it seems that we have a lot of stress and anxiety in the world today.
They offer you the possibility, I think they offer you the possibility of a meaningful experience in your boring daily life. Yeah.
And is that something people are searching for? Something meaningful?
Something meaningful. And our museums are full of that and willing to give it to everybody.
Your museum holds Mexico's most important collection of ancient artifacts. Can you tell me about the philosophy behind curating, interpreting, and presenting these cultural treasures to national and international audiences, which, as you've said, are growing exponentially?
Yeah. Well, you have a collection that dates from 1825. We began collecting these materials 200 years ago. And we have, as you said, one of the most important archaeological collections in Mexico. And besides that, we have also an ethnographic collection, which is very important. Both feed our galleries, and our galleries live in the hands of a bunch of curators that offer this material for the people interested in certain galleries, and besides that, they work also in different exhibitions where we essay different ways of understanding, where we made new questions to this old stuff and present the collection on the new light. That's the point of an exhibition, like the one that you have here at the Nelson-Atkins right now. In turn, that gyres around something like color. What is color? What was color in the past? Let us say in the 14th century or 15th century. Middle America. What was that? What was the meaning of color? And that's what the exhibition presents to our audiences. Old objects. Let me say it differently. Objects well known in our collections, put under a different light.
How large physically is your space at the Museum of Anthropology?
It was constructed on a land of 93,000 square meters. And if my memory doesn't lie, we have 45,000 square meters of
exhibition space. And is there something that an exhibition space or a certain artifact that is often overlooked in your museum by visitors? If there were, what would that be?
Well, that's a very tricky question. Of course, we have 8,000 archaeological objects on display, and 6,000, almost 7,000 objects, ethnographic objects in display. It's easy to overlook something.
It would take how long to go through the whole museum?
I wouldn't recommend that. I always say, little sips. Try if you have the chance, don't swallow it up or try to swallow it up in one visit, because it's hard, really hard. You need 3 days.
Museum fatigue is real. And we would have that
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
People can't see the Nelson-Atkins all in one day, and we say the same thing.
No, don't do that. Please enjoy the. We work for you. We open the doors each and every morning for our audiences. Please take your time. No, enjoy your visit.
Take it in small bites.
Yeah.
Where would you begin if you had if you were talking with somebody who had never been to the museum before? What would you suggest? Where should they start?
I would say let your instincts lead you. Once in the museum, we have several galleries willing to teach you. So choose one, and from that move on. Decide on the way. Improvise something. You know? What is important is to walk inside the museum, to feel the museum, to breathe inside the galleries, and above all, to take your time in front of the objects, to watch them carefully. No, to study is too ambitious, or no, it's not the exact word, but at the end we are studying in a way while we walk in our galleries, but in a different mood, and that helps a lot to the visitor.
Now your specialty is cultural history.
Yep.
Tell me how you would define cultural history.
Oh my, it's also social history with an accent on culture. It's quite anthropological in a sense. When I discover, quote unquote, cultural history, what was most exciting for me was the possibility to try to look at the past with an anthropological bend. No, not exactly offering answers, but looking for new questions to the past. I have worked mainly with artists and writers during the 18th and 19th centuries, and I don't believe that ideas lives in books, which in a way produce new books. I do believe in people working together, building new ways or different ways of understanding, and that these ideas develop attitudes and places, institutions, sometimes books themselves, works of art, and all that, and that we've got to gather them all and to offer these communities as communities of sense. I don't know if that is exactly the word. But that's what I think about cultural history.
You said that it really captured your attention.
Yeah.
What was it that captured your attention so completely?
Because we tend to think that the past is something fixed. No,
It is not.
No, there is not. There is nothing more unstable than the past. We are always making new questions to our history, and these new questions move everything or remove everything.
Well, it becomes alive.
Yeah,
It's not in the past. It's not dead.
No,
it's
quite
living.
present.
It's quite present.
It was quite present.
What makes this cultural history a vital lens for people to understand modern Mexico?
I don't know how to answer these, because I live in that modern Mexico, and I tend to observe and to question what I see each and every day. I would say that modern Mexico is a society so complex, so colorful, so rich with a cast of characters so rich and provocative that you've got to oh my God, what's the word? You got to go into history in order to make sense of what's going on in front of our eyes today.
How do you marry those two ideas, the past and what's happening right now?
It's a natural thing for me. I think that I'm a professional of the past, so I always watching the back mirror and always watching
the rear view and
the
also
rear view
looking through the windshield.
Exactly, all the time.
You must be exhausted.
Yeah, yes.
You're seeing it all.
Yeah, but you've got to try to see it all. The museum itself. If you think that people go there to see old stuff, old objects, we are wrong. Those objects are not old. Those objects are new, are full of meaning today. Although they come from the 2 centuries or 4 or 5 or 6 centuries ago or 10 centuries ago, those objects are important because they have a meaning right now for the people that is observing them carefully.
When you're looking at the study of Mexican history, looking through the objects and narratives that you have at the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, how does that shape the modern dialogue or the modern identity in Mexico by looking at those objects? How do people put those two things together?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. What I do know is that 60 years ago, when this museum was built, the word civilization was very important. Nowadays, we don't talk about civilization or a civilization. And back in the 1950s, those persons that work on the project of this fantastic museum had in mind the word civilization, and the museum tries to catch this one of the 2 original civilizations that existed in this continent in the 15th century when the Europeans came. One of those civilizations was the Mexica. The other was the Andean civilization in Peru. They were destroyed by the contact, not only by the conquest, also because of the smallpox, which was as deadly as powder. Well, the museum tried to recover that civilization of North America, and it is built in the place, which is important to stress. The museum is built in the same place where this civilization grew. But we stopped talking about civilization. I don't know why. In high school, for example, in my high school, no one told No one used that word. At the university, it was an outmoded expression, civilization. Nowadays, it is not. But then it was very important. And during the first half of the 20th century, the idea of civilization was central, at least in the West. And the museum expresses that. The aim, the effort to recover that ancient civilization as the foundation of the new society that we have now in Mexico.
Is this type of idea that you're talking about now the kind of thing that fuels your passion and excitement about doing what it is you do every day? Because things are changing continually, and the lens is always being turned just a little bit.
Doesn't show?
Yeah, I can tell. Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a passion. Yes, that's the word, passion.
Now, if you were going to give some advice to students or young researchers who are also passionate about history and anthropology and preservation, what advice would you give them? What should they be doing?
Studying, reflecting, watching everything carefully. It's a non-stop job. You cannot take a holiday from that.
Well, and you can never say, "Oh, I know that."
Thank you. No, I know that. No, you never know. You are always learning, adding new things to what you thought that you knew very well. And you discover, oh my God, it wasn't that simple.
The more you know that you don't know.
Yeah. I have just returned from a journey to China, and I returned more ignorant than how I went there originally. Because I have a lot of questions, and I don't have the answers for those questions. So I have to study again and again.
That is what you do, though, and that's why you love doing it, because there are always going to be questions.
Yeah, you have to unlearn what they taught you at school, for example, and to build your own answers, the answers that you need.
Knowing that next month that may change.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time. You've been listening to Art Bites, a podcast from the Nelson-Atkins Museum of Art. I'm Kathleen Layton. We'll see you next time.